Since my earliest moments in life, have been passionate about going into space. In fact, my mission in life has been to become an astronaut and to go and bring humanity up there. My parents' mission was for me to become a doctor. And so I say that I went to medical school to make my parents proud of me and make them happy. My dad grew up and went to medical school in Athens. My mom wanted to be, but I always wanted to become an astronaut. And this image of Earth was my inspiration. And I think about the fact that thousands of years from now, as we speak about ancient Greece, thousands of years from now, people will remember these next few decades as that moment in time when the human race moved off the planet irreversibly to the stars. And we are living in this extraordinary time. Now, as I think about the rapid growth of innovation, I realize that it hasn't always been this way. That in fact, if you look back for the millions of years during which Homo sapiens evolved, we evolved during a world that was called, was linear and local. What I meant by that is all you cared about was what was within a day's walk of you. And the world was linear, meaning that the life of your great-grandparents, your parents, you, your children, your grandchildren, life didn't change generation to generation. Things were extraordinarily flat. But today, we're living in a world that is exponential and global. Everything around the world affects everything else. And exponential, things are changing at such a pace that you can't really grasp them. Now, you have to realize that the human brain was evolved to think local and linear. A rock was coming at you, you had to be able to predict when that rock was going to hit you to get out of the way. But today, the world is changing exponential and global. And this difference between an exponential curve in yellow and a linear curve in red is what's causing a lot of disruption, where literally you have a billion-dollar company go out of business overnight, and a billion-dollar company like YouTube, which a friend Chad Hurley started, start on his credit cards and be sold for $1.6 billion 18 months later. That change, that rapidity of change is happening not only, a fluke, but faster and faster year after year. And the challenge is that we as humans don't understand exponential. If I stand over here and I take 10, 11 linear steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I end up about 30 meters away. If I take 10 exponential steps, 2, 4, 8, 16, what we don't realize is I don't end up at O'Hare Airport. I end up in Los Angeles. So exponentials are extraordinarily powerful, and we don't understand them. And we have to learn to evolve to think in exponential ways, especially now. To give you an example, an exobyte is a billion gigabytes. It's a unit of storage. 5 exobytes of information, for example, is all of the information that was stored from the beginning of time through 2003 that was digitally stored by humans. So put that in mind, 5 exobytes of information from the start of time to 2003. In 2010, this year, the human race is generating 5 exobytes of information in 2 days. In 2013, we're going to generate 5 exobytes information in 10 minutes. This is exponential change. This is what's causing tremendous disruption all over the planet. To give you another example of exponential change is the cell phone business. In 2000, Africa had 2% penetration of cell phones. Last year, it was 28%. By 2013, there'll be over 70% penetration of cell phones in Africa. What happens to the human race when a billion new people come online? What do they want? What will they consume? What innovations will they bring? This is going to transform the planet yet again. This curve is what is underlying all this exponential change. It's called Moore's Law. You may have heard of it. It's what causes your computers to be twice as fast every 18 months or cost half as much. And that is accelerating. And if you look at this curve, from 1900 to 2000, over the past 100 years, through recession, through depression, through wartime, through good time, the progression of the computational speed that you can get on a $1,000 laptop has been steadily increasing. This is an exponential curve because you've got exponents on the left and linear on the bottom. Now, through every one of these technologies, every time a technology runs out of steam, a new technology gets on to keep it moving forward. This is a slide which should get you as excited as it does scared. The human brain is a pattern recognition machine. We have the ability to recognize patterns. My grandmother's face, my yaya's face, my friend, whatever it might be. The brain computes at about 10 to the 16th cycles per second. The average $1,000 laptop computes at about 10 to the 11th cycles per second. What this means on Moore's law is that within 20 years, the average $1,000 laptop that you or your kids or your grandchildren have will compute as fast as the human brain. What's interesting, though, is 20 years after that, the average $1,000 laptop will compute as fast as the entire human race. So what does that mean? How will that change the way we live our lives? How we reinvent society? To give you a chance, a sense of how technology affects our lives, I did some looking at how things looked 100 years ago, roughly, compared to today. So transport from New York to Chicago 100 years ago would have cost about a month's wage. Today, it's about a half a day. A 3-minute phone call from New York to LA, about almost 19 hours, 3 days of wage compared to less than 2 minutes today. Kilowatt of electricity, how about 5,000 lumens of light, an hour's wage versus 2 seconds. So what's becoming is technology is helping us become more efficient in our lives, be able to get more and more for a little bit of labor. And it's changing the world at a rapid rate and reinventing us. I love this. What does it mean to be poor? What does it really mean to have poverty? If you look at the level of what's considered poverty in the United States, in America today, those classified as poor, 99% of them have electricity, water, flushing toilets, and a refrigerator. This is below the poverty level. 95 have a television, 88 have a telephone, 71 have a car. All of these, poverty today is far better than Henry Ford or Cornelius Vanderbilt had during their lifetimes. So the billionaires of 100 years ago would be considered, impoverished today. We are constantly redefining what poverty means. So when I think about what we'll have in the future, I believe that we're going to have a life of abundance, where the 6, 7, 8, or 9 billion people on this planet will be able to live in a world where they have enough food, enough water, enough housing, that we will transform the lives of every person on this planet because of this exponential rise of technology. The question is, how will we do this? And I believe by the sheer commitment of the human mind and our passion to solve problems. This is a friend of mine, Gene Cernan, the last human to step foot on the moon. This is December of 1972. He's jumping a meter off the moon, but he's got 400 pounds of equipment on his back. And Gene said, you have to remember, Peter, what it was like. We went from 1961, never having flown this person to space, to landing on the moon inside of 8.5 years. You tell me what's impossible, we can do that. Nothing is impossible. And I believe that. I believe that we can solve every problem we have on this planet with the commitment of the human mind, technology, and capital. So the question is, what do we want to solve? How do we want to drive these breakthroughs? The same technology that I spoke about earlier that is driving this exponential change is making small groups of individuals able to do things that only governments could do before. So while it took a government program to put people into space, now we have groups like out of Scaled Composites that won the X Prize I'll speak about in a few minutes, with 20 people putting people into space. So the question is, what do you want to incentivize, and how do you want to incentivize people to do great breakthroughs? Because for me, that's what it's about. It's about focusing the human mind on solving the biggest challenges we have. So fear is one way that we incentivize people. It's one of the biggest incentives. It was our incentive for racing to the moon against the Soviets. Curiosity, is there life out there in the solar system? That's another big way to incentivize people. And in the United States, you can measure the ratio of fear to curiosity. It's the difference between the defense budget and the science budget. Wealth creation. My wife Kristen and I were in Norway yesterday morning, and they create these giant ocean platforms for drilling oil. Has a bad rap right now, but otherwise these things have been extraordinary technological, $5 billion investments to drill through thousands of feet of water down into the crust thousands of feet. So wealth creation drives us to do incredible things. And then finally, significance. And it was this story of Charles Lindbergh that got me interested, because I've been focusing on how do I drive people to take on the biggest world problems. And so I found out that this man, Charles Lindbergh, in 1927, crossed the Atlantic not because he felt like it one morning, but actually to go after a $25,000 prize. A Frenchman, Raymond Ortegue, who had actually grew up in Paris, came to New York, became a busboy, eventually owned a hotel, a second hotel. He was a hotelier, offered up a $25,000 prize for the first person to fly between New York and Paris. And 9 different teams spent $400,000 to win this $25,000 prize. I'm going, wow, that's incredible. And you only pay the winner. You don't pay anybody who tries. You pay only the winner. I said, this prize thing has got legs. So we offered up a $10 million prize for the first person to fly between Earth and 100 kilometers in space, go up safely, land, and within 2 weeks do it again. And that $10 million prize drove 26 teams around the world from 7 nations to spend $100 million. And at the end of the day, we paid only the winner. But best of all, we drove a brand new generation of private spaceships. And the day that it was won, we ended up having Richard Branson come in and buy the rights to the winning design to create Virgin Galactic. We were on the front page of Google. That was really cool. We got 6 billion media impressions, front page around the world, around the planet. And now the winning vehicle is hanging in the Air and Space Museum, right above the Apollo 11 capsule, right next to the Spirit of St. Louis. Let me show you a short video to take you to this winning moment. We're announcing today something called the X Prize, a $10 million contest to privately build a spaceship that's able to carry 3 individuals, fly to 100 kilometers altitude, and do that twice inside of 2 weeks.
By defining the challenge with the Ansari X Prize, the X Prize Foundation ignited a new race to space, luring teams from around the globe.
We're based in Mojave, California.
Israel, Oklahoma,
Forks, Washington, Romania.
Acting as the catalyst, the X Prize Foundation demonstrated an incentivized competition can change the world.
Hello and welcome to Mojave here in the high desert of California on this incredible day. Now you are going to witness history in the making. And there it goes.
release, arm, fire.
The Ansari X Prize inspired international competition, drove regulatory reform, and made history, dramatically demonstrating that space travel was not exclusively the province of government.
The X Prize for $10 million.
It ignited a personal spaceflight revolution.
So, thank you. Overnight success after 10 years of hard work. So the hallmarks of an incentive prize which make it so incredibly powerful for corporate branding or philanthropy is that it's leveraged. You get 10 to 40 times the amount of the purse spent by all the teams to win your money. And the best part is you only pay the winner. And then on top of that, you spark a brand new industry and get billions of media impressions around the planet for people who authentically are excited about your competition. We've been able to build an incredible board of trustees. from the Ansari family, who funded the first prize, to Larry Page and Sergey Brin and Eric Schmidt from Google. Ariana Huffington and Jim Giannopoulos joined our board, and it was great to have a conversation about scheduling the next board meeting when people stopped and said, hold it, when's Greek Easter? Ratan Tata, the chairman of Tata Industries, Craig Venter, the person who just created Synthetic Life. We have an amazing board who are addicted to solving the world's biggest problems and interested in how to change humanity. We create prizes in 4 groups: in life sciences, exploration. We've just partnered with Cisco in our energy and environment prizes, and then education and global development. We've got about $50 million in active prizes today, and you're going to see that rapidly growing over the next few years. One of the prizes we have is called the Archon X Prize for Genomics. It's for the first team to sequence 100 human genomes in 10 days. It took $100 million and 1 year to sequence Craig Venter's genome. So we're taking it from 100 million in 1 year to 100 genomes in 10 days. We have the Google Lunar X Prize, and Google stepped up with a $30 million sponsorship for the first team to put a robot on the surface of the moon privately that can go and explore, send back videos and photos, and rove around the surface. And then most recently, and the prize that you'll hear about over the next 90 days, and we'll be announcing the winners in September in Washington, D.C., is the Progressive Automotive X Prize. And this is for a new generation of super efficient, fast, 100-mile-per-gallon equivalent or greater cars. So our goal is to change the paradigm, that you can have it all. You can have a car that's beautiful, safe, affordable, fast, and oh, by the way, gets over 100 miles per gallon or its energy equivalent. So stay tuned for that. So besides the X Prizes, which are 10 million, typically 3 to 8 year paradigm change, we're bringing online this year something called X Challenges. These are $1 million prizes. It will be won in 1 to 2 years, and more about a technology demonstration. So where are we going next? To wrap up, I want to run through some of the prize ideas that we're working on. These are not prizes that we've launched yet. These are prize concepts that are in development. So one of my favorites for the developing world and for all of us is called the Artificial Intelligent Physician, the AI physician. So this would be a $10 million prize for the first team that can develop an AI, artificial intelligence, that can speak and listen in natural language, but can diagnose a patient as good or better than a group of 10 board-certified doctors. And I believe that can be won in 5 years or less. The best thing about that is then anybody with a cell phone can call that artificial intelligence literally for free and speak in Mandarin, Swahili, or any language you want, and get board-certified medical advice for free. Imagine the effect of prenatal care or young child care. You know, when you have a question about, should it feel this way? And you can speak to somebody and get that advice as good as speaking to someone from the Mayo Clinic. A Plastics X Prize. You've heard about all the issues about large, hundreds of millions of tons of plastics that are in the oceans that don't biodegrade. This would be an X Prize for chemists around the planet to design a biodegradable plastic, clear plastic, that can biodegrade in the salinity, UV radiation, temperature of the oceans. A Bionics X Prize. A lot of interest for us in this right now. In the next 10 years, there will be 100 million people on the planet over the age of 80. We have all these paraplegics. Imagine a set of legs that you can strap on that allow you, if you've lost complete use of your legs, to move around, get in and out of a car, go to the toilet, walk upstairs. But in the day, to win this competition, you have to race up and back down a mountain. That's the team that would win this. So imagine a pair of legs that an octogenarian could use to race up and down a mountain. Possible? Absolutely. A low-cost housing X Prize. This would be for a team to reinvent how we build homes, for God's sakes. They've been the same for 100 years. Imagine a team that can build a 500-square-foot house in under 12 hours. It's got a door, window, toilet, internet, stove, lights, sustainable energy, earthquake-proof, wind-proof, flood-proof, and then you have to build 50 of these in 25 days. Reinvent the way we build homes. One of my favorites, the deep blue of automotive. The first autonomous car to win against a top-seeded Grand Prix driver in a Grand Prix race. Humans are probably the worst control system in the world to be driving this 5,000-pound thing at 80 miles down the road, and if you go like this, you die. Who put that control system in place? So I think in the next 20 to 30 years, cars of the future are going to be fully autonomous. They're going to save millions of lives. They're going to save fuel. They're going to save time. Talk to me about it. For me, this is a fun X Prize. Mapping the ocean floor. We know more about the surface of Mars than we do the ocean floor. This would be a $10 million competition to map 1,000 square kilometers of the ocean floor in 10 days or less. Or the ocean equivalent of the Ansari X Prize, a 2-person sub that can go down to the Marianas Trench, stay down there for 6 to 8 hours, and do 4 dives over 8 days. Give us new capability to go and look at the ocean floor. An electric aircraft X Challenge, an annual race for 2,500 kilometers for the fastest all-electric 2-person airplane to reinvent airplanes of the future. The last example I'll give you, the Vision Surrogate X Prize. Blind people have a dog or a cane. We want to have technologists build a device that a blind person could hold up and look around the room and find the open seats, find out where the door is, find out where a phone is, be able to go and find the address, the crosswalk, get their gate at the airport. Imagine that, a device that can give them that information. The technology is here. And so we're going to be launching, I'm going to make sure we launch this prize this year. So I want to close with a short video. So this is a video to give you a sense of why we do what we do, why incentive prizes are powerful. So thank you. Our philosophy is that every problem on this planet can be solved. It's the focus of intelligence, capital, and technology, and to choose the problems and incentivize the brilliance that's on this planet to go out there and solve them. I want to thank Greg again and thank the sponsors of this great conference.